The British monarchy, an institution steeped in tradition, serves as a unifying symbol of the continuity and stability of the United Kingdom. However, its role is not without controversy, particularly concerning the engagement of political figures in government policies and the King. And recent interactions between King Charles III and political leaders, including Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner, and now floated the idea of Keir Starmer meeting with the devolved national leaders, underscores both the unifying future and function of the monarchy and the challenges of maintaining political neutrality. As the head of state, the king's functions are primarily ceremonial and constitutional rather than executive, and his duties include receiving government briefings in the iconic red leather box, which contains policy papers and documents required for his formal approval, hosting weekly meetings with the Prime Minister, traditionally held on Wednesdays at Buckingham Palace, officially appointing the government by inviting the leader of the majority party to form an administration, opening Parliament, delivering the King's speech, which outlines the government's legislative agenda, granting royal assent to laws, a largely symbolic but necessary step in the legislative process, and leading national commemorations such as the annual Remembrance Sunday event at the Cenotaph. Additionally, the King is head of the Commonwealth, a role requiring diplomatic engagement with the 56 member nations and frequent visits to Commonwealth states. Beyond constitutional responsibilities, the monarch plays a crucial role in fostering national unity. King Charles's decision, therefore, to invite Prime Minister Starmer and leaders of the devolved nations to Windsor Castle for discussions exemplifies that function, and such engagements promote dialogue and cohesion across the United Kingdom, especially at a time of political division. But such meetings can also fuel speculation about his political involvement, and the recent trip of the King and Starmer and the Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner to a Cornish housing development, a project initiated by Charles himself, raised concerns about whether the monarch was veering too close into policy endorsement. And while the King has long been an advocate for sustainability and urban development, this proximity to a government initiative close to an election cycle raises legitimate questions about the limits of royal influence. Historically, the British monarchy has operated under the principle of political neutrality, but the King's well-documented environmental advocacy and prior public stances have sometimes tested this boundary, and his involvement in discussions about housing policies and sustained development suggests a more engaged approach than that of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, who was famously reserved in political matters. The monarchy's perceived political interventions have surfaced in other areas as well. Charles's recent overseas engagements, including his visit to Auschwitz and his tour of Australia, have reignited debates about the monarchy's role, and his reception in Australia was particularly contentious as anti-monarchy sentiments were vocalised by figures such as the Aboriginal Senator Lydia Thorpe, who accused the Crown of complicity in colonial injustice. Public opinion on the monarchy remains divided, or has become significantly more divided. While overall support for the institution is robust, younger generations in certain regions of the UK, such as Scotland and Wales, show declining enthusiasm. And recent polls suggest a widening generation gap, with 62% of Britain supporting the monarchy, while only 37% of those aged 18 to 24 express the same sentiment. The monarchy's financial arrangements have also drawn scrutiny. The sovereign grant, which funds official royal expenses, remains a topic of debate, particularly as its funding formula changes to reflect Crown estate profits. As economic pressure mounts on ordinary individuals, discussions about the cost of the Crown are likely to intensify. But the British monarch remains a vital institution for national cohesion, representing continuity in terms of political flux. At a time of political flux, the monarchy is a centre of stability. But King Charles's approach, marked by this greater engagement in social environmental issues, has led to renewed scrutiny of the boundaries between constitutional duty and political influence. And as he continues to navigate his reign, the challenge will be maintaining the monarch's unifying role while respecting its commitment to political impartiality, and the extent to which Charles manages this balance will define his legacy and shape the king's future in an evolving Britain.